We finally did it. It only took about 10 to 15 years, but we put together the most advanced mobility and fitness scientists that Austria has to offer. That team consists of me, and we developed pretty much the most effective full body mobility routine that you can imagine. And today we're gonna do just that. But before we get to that, it's story time. That was hot. That was too hot. Now, since this is a true story, it doesn't really have a happy ending. However, I think it puts things into perspective. Now, if you're not interested in the story, you can use the timestamps below to jump to the exercises right ahead. So now that these people are gone, I actually just wanted to have some private time so we can chat a little bit. This story takes us back about 17 years. I used to go to one of the more elite schools here in Austria. When I turned 15, I moved to an English-speaking private school that put together multiple school systems, like the American one, the British one, doing GCSEs and stuff like that. And I switched to the British branch of this school. Now, since I came from another school system, that meant that I had to do a preliminary test, so to speak, just to see if I was advanced enough to continue at the same level that I was at, or if I had to move back a little bit. Now, on that fateful day, I wasn't the only one taking that test, and someone was switching from the American branch of the school to the British one. Meet Mo. Now, Mo was struggling a little bit with his English, and it was just the two of us taking this test with a teacher who left us alone for 20 minutes at age 15. Now, I'm pretty sure they wanted us to cheat so we can pass and we can pay money since it's a private school. We did help each other out, and at the end, we got into the same class. Now, over the course of a couple of months, Mo became pretty much my best friend at school. That's not only because most people who go to private school are pretentious pieces of shit, including myself, but also because Mo was pretty much the healthiest person I have ever met. And I don't just mean physically healthy. He played soccer for a junior league on top of our sports training at school. But other than that, he had nothing to do with smoking, drinking. Even more so, this dude only found out that girls have other private parts than men at the age of 12. Now, ignoring the fact that that is pretty bad sex education, that meant that he was so pure that he never even accessed a porn site. And the funny thing is, when he found out, he was truly shocked. He thought that girls were aliens because where are the parts that I have? Now, him and I, we spent a lot of time together at school, and once I was done, 3 years later, and I moved back to Vienna, our contact sort of fizzled out. However, I still know that he continued on to be pretty much the most healthy person I know, never touched a cigarette, never touched a drink, never even went out at night. He was as straight and narrow as can be. Fast forward a couple of years later, I get a message saying that he was in a car accident. He was in a coma. Now that dragged on for almost half a year before I got the message that he died at the hospital. Now, that was a pretty bad time for me, and I started to wonder if this dude, who was the embodiment of mental and physical health, there wasn't a single day where his laughter would go through the entire school. It was so infectious, such an open and positive person that I can't even imagine what kind of mentality you have to be this happy in one of the worst possible times in your life, going through puberty, where basically every single person is pretty much in the head. And any sort of negativity just rolls over you and takes you over for the entire day. Well, if this dude, super healthy, didn't even reach the age of 25, what am I training for? What am I doing any of that stuff for? All this longevity training and mobility and strength and endurance and working on your VO2 max and touching your toes because you want to be able to put on your shoes while you're standing instead of having to sit down. Like, all of this stuff didn't really make sense to me. But it took some time, and I realized it's not really about longevity. In general, that is a pretty good thing. I wish for all of you that you could live a long and healthy and prosperous life and see your grandkids grow up if that is what you want. It is more so about your quality of life. What kind of quality of life can you have if you can barely sit down without having any pain? If you can't even get up from the floor without needing the assistance of someone else? Even going to sleep and waking up is connected to back pain and tightness and all of those tiny things that accumulate and over time make your life worse and worse. And while we can't work on you really living as long as possible because we don't have that much control over life, what we can control is at the very least some of the quality we're gonna have as we grow older. And that is why we're here today. We're gonna go through this mobility workout This is going to target your entire body. We're going to put together, as usual, strength with endurance and control for a stronger mind-muscle connection, and flexibility to make this of a somewhat holistic mobility routine you can basically do every single day. And it's only going to take 10 minutes, which I am pretty sure most of you can put aside to work a tiny bit on their quality of life. Now, on this positive note, I hope I didn't depress you too much. Story time is over. Let's go and have a little bit of fun. Now, already this mobility routine is going to require a little bit of preliminary work, and that is being able to get into a deep squat or resting squat. If you cannot do that, all you're gonna need for now is some sort of elevation to place below your heels, which is going to make this a lot easier. And over time, once your ankle mobility and core strength gets better, you won't require these and you can get rid of them. So starting out in this deep squat position, we want to place our hands on the ground and just extend our legs and our posterior chain, stretch it, let your head hang loose and reverse this movement. Now, keep in mind that not everyone's range of motion is going to be the same. So if this is the end of your movement, that is perfectly acceptable. We are working on getting better and not being perfect from the moment we start. And we're just going to do this 3 times. So this is our second time, and the third time we're gonna hold it just for a handful of seconds in the extension. And if you have more posterior chain flexibility, it is time to get up on your toes. Just for 3, 2, 1, and reverse. So now that we have a little bit of posterior chain flexibility going, let's start out with some internal hip rotation, bringing your right knee right in front of your left foot, reversing this movement and repeating on the other side. Now we're going to require a little bit more of the core strength to stay fully upright and not fall backwards. If you need a little bit support, then you do it with your hands on the ground. Absolutely acceptable. One more time to this side and one more time to the other side. And now we're gonna switch from some internal rotation to some external rotation, pushing our knee outwards, and then we wanna push our hip forward, activating our posterior chain this time. Instead of stretching it, means flexing our glutes and our biceps. Reversing, once again, you can work with your hands on the ground and switch to the other side. Push forward and reverse. We only need 3 repetitions for each side. Push your knee out as far as you can, push your hips forward, lengthening your hip flexors and your quads. Amazing anterior chain stretch for our lower body. Reverse and repeat to the other side. Now, you can stay fully dynamic in these movements, or you can take a break right here, stretch statically before you move on to the next repetition, where we already have our final one. To the right side and to the left side. Push forward and reverse. And now it is time to put these 2 movements together. Before we do that, however, let's double the internal rotation. Left crossing over right and right crossing over left. Just 2 times. And then we're gonna combine double external rotation slowly, carefully if you want to, hands on the ground. Bring both knees down, push them out and push your hips forward, flexing your posterior chain once again. If you have a little bit more strength and control, you can lean back, lengthening your anterior chain all the way up through your abdominals before you reverse, either with your hands on the ground or by yourself. Only a second repetition. Push forward, lengthen and reverse. And now comes one of the most important mobility exercises you're gonna learn, which is the 90-90 switch. Internal rotation, just like we did before, but this time we're gonna roll over our toes, flatten our foot in extension, and once we're here, we're gonna add this external rotation in the other leg, combining internal with external rotation. And now we're gonna require this core strength and hip flexor strength to either sit up using our leg and core strength, or with our hands, slowly lower down and reverse with your hands on the ground, taking off some of the strength requirements so you can concentrate more of the flexibility part. One more time to the left side and one more time to the right side. And now we're gonna increase our range of motion and lengthen this movement while adding some spinal rotation, which means that we're gonna keep the first part of this exercise the same: internal rotation, full ankle extension, external rotation on the other side. Now we're gonna turn our upper body as far as we can to the left, bringing both hands to the floor, and then we're gonna lower down slowly in a controlled fashion, bringing our face all the way down to the ground, lengthening our quads and our hip flexors even more while adding lumbar and thoracic rotation. And once you turn your head to the side, we're also gonna add some neck spinal rotation as well, meaning we're turning our entire spine all the way up and to the other direction. Left internal, right external, upper body to the right, hands to the ground, and face down as well. Now, this is a perfect position for taking a short break while adding a super effective static stretch. But you can also just continue on in this dynamic manner, and over time, you're gonna get the same benefit. So we're gonna do a second repetition to the left side, all the way down, all the way up. And once again, if your range of motion is a little bit shorter, don't worry about it. We're gonna just lower down as far as we can. If you can only turn this far, then by all means, try and lower down here. If you can turn further, then by all means, try and do that. Whatever range of motion you have, where you feel most comfortable, is absolutely perfect. Reverse this movement. And now we're gonna switch it up the tiniest bit. Because if you haven't noticed, we've been working a lot on all of these rotational mobility things, but we still need a little bit more focus on our posterior chain and anterior chain in our upper body. So starting in a standing position with both feet flat and parallel, we're gonna do a high Cossack squat. And now what you need to learn is bringing your hip joint all the way down to knee height. And once you can do that, you're gonna notice in general an amazing adductor stretch, which was missing before. So one more time to the left, keep your feet parallel, because once you turn into external rotation in your hip, you're gonna switch that stretch from your adductors to your hamstrings, which is gonna come later. Final time to the right, and now we're gonna elevate our heel on one side and add this external rotation on the other side. Turn your toes up. If you have the necessary range of motion to grab your toes, that would be amazing. If you can't, move forward from your knee until you can pull those toes in. And now, just an additional bonus, we're gonna push that foot into external rotation in our hip even more, adding even more hip mobility before we reverse, move up all the way to add as much quad strength as we can to this training. All the way down, grab over, push into external rotation. One more time, all the way up. Once again, you can work with your hands on the ground if you are missing the strength and the balance. And over time, if you stay with me, you'll get there. All the way up, all the way down, and external rotation. Now we're gonna switch it up a little bit more. A low Cossack on the left side, right hand behind the right leg, which is the extended side. And now we're gonna cross over, once again, adding some lumbar rotation. If you can grab here, amazing. If you can grab here, amazing. All the way up, all the way down, and switch. A second repetition for each side. Once to the right, and once to the left. And now, before we move on to the next level, we have a little bit of preliminary work once again. So we're gonna start out at the top here, lower down into the Cossack just like before. Instead of moving sideways, we're gonna move forward, knee down, slowly, carefully, and push your hip forward, just like we did before with the deep squat. Reverse in a controlled fashion, move all the way up, all the way down, lower that knee, and push forward, once again lengthening our anterior chain while flexing our posterior chain. And when we are up here, we are focusing on flexing our anterior chain and stretching our posterior chain. One more time, all the way down, forward, reverse, all the way down, forward. And the second preliminary exercise is starting here in this low Cossack, and instead of moving up, we want to move laterally to the left, pushing our hips down as much as we can, opening up our adductors as far as we can, and pushing our knees outwards. One more time, to the left. One more time, to the right. Once again, this exercise can be done with your hands on the ground. And now from here, extend once more, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, shake it out, just shake it out. Get rid of any tension you still have. And now we're gonna lower to the left And this is one of my favorite movements. Right hand behind the right extended leg. And from here, we're gonna start pushing our hip upward. Now, this is gonna require a lot of posterior chain strength to push up, and we're gonna have an amazing stretch all the way from our toes, up our quads, our hip flexors, our abdominals. Now we're gonna lengthen our shoulders and latissimus as well, pulling our arm all the way to the back. Reverse, carefully, hands on the ground. If you want to, lower down on the other side. Once again, repeat. Left hand behind the left extended leg and pushing up, lengthening here, and reverse. If you want to hold that stretch, it really feels absolutely amazing to just push up from here before we move on. One more time, just a second repetition to the other side. And now we're going to increase our range of motion a tiny bit more. All the way down to the left side. And instead of just placing our hand behind our leg, we're going to lower our lower arm, our forearm, also down all the way. And once again, pushing up. And we're going to require even more posterior chain strength to push, hold, and carefully move forward, move downward. And once again, if you need some support, you're going to do this one. Push up. Lengthen your anterior chain on the right. Focus on flexing your entire posterior chain as much as you can. And then with your hands here, and your hands here, and your hands here, move forward. Only 1 second repetition for this one. All the way down, all the way up, lengthen, and final time, all the way up, all the way down, and lengthen. And just to finish this up, we're gonna extend once more. We're gonna place our hands on the ground if we can. If we can't, we can open up a little bit more, which is gonna make this a little bit easier. And from here, we wanna just switch our pelvic position, meaning when opening up sideways, just like so, we want to push our spine into spinal extension from here, which is gonna lengthen our posterior chain in our legs even more while strengthening our back musculature and adding a lot of what is very necessary control over our pelvic region and our hip movement. So once you are in extension, you can hold that stretch for 3, 2, 1, and then we're gonna push our pelvis forward. Once again, like so, pull our stomach in, let loose of all of the tension we had back here from the stretch, and then for a second repetition. Extension, hold for 3, 2, 1, and flexion, let go for 3, 2, 1, and one final repetition. Extension, hold for 3, 2, 1, release for 3, 2, 1, and now you deserve a nice little break. That's basically it. This routine can be done pretty much every single day. And if it was your first time doing it or you're new to mobility, this might have been a little bit advanced, a little bit exhausting, but trust me, you don't need to do everything perfectly. You just need to do the movements you're capable of doing now, and with time and repetition, especially if you do this every single day, just 10 to 12 minutes, you will be able to do all of these, and probably even better than I can over time. And that brings me to the sponsor of this video, which is you. Your likes, your comments, your engagement, and your subscription helps me push this content to more and more people. And while that benefits me a lot and it makes me really happy, I also hope that it benefits a lot of other people. And if there is just one person doing this and noticing a real difference in their life to the better, that makes me more than happy to push this video out to just a handful of people. But my monkey brain also likes seeing numbers grow, so please do all of that engagement stuff and subscription stuff, because we do stuff like that pretty much every single day. And 99% of these videos are usually a little bit more upbeat and a little bit happier because I'm not too much into negative reinforcement. With that said, however, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope this was somewhat helpful, and I hope to see you again. Captain Cairo, peace out.